The atmosphere in San Francisco has shifted in an almost imperceptible way, like a gentle breeze that signals a storm that has not yet arrived. Anyone looking from the outside might believe everything is the same as always. The crowd filling the arena, the glow of veteran stars lighting up the court, and the confidence that accompanies a team used to competing on the sport's biggest stages. But behind this familiar scene, a profound transition is taking place. A change that is not declared in interviews nor splashed across headlines, yet one that everyone inside the organization feels growing stronger by the day. The Golden State Warriors are living through one of those rare moments where the present and the future collide, creating a dilemma no franchise wants to face, but all inevitably encounter. On one side, there is the almost instinctive desire to continue fighting for titles, while the veteran core still delivers talent and leadership. On the other, there is the realization that time imposes limits, even on idols who have defied expectations for more than a decade. It is a silent yet decisive crossroads. The pursuit of winning now intertwines with the urgent need to prepare the ground for tomorrow. Inside the locker room, this awareness becomes clearer each day. Players who have seen and lived through all phases of the dynasty understand, perhaps better than anyone, that each season may be the last in which this version of the team shines together. The pressure does not come only from the league, opponents, or fan expectations, but from a kind of emotional responsibility to honor the legacy built so far. Still, as much as the competitive spirit remains intact, physical wear does not forgive. It is visible in the moments when speed fades, in games where intensity drops, in nights when details that were once trivial require twice the effort. Meanwhile, in the front office, the atmosphere is entirely different. There, emotion gives way to cold calculation. Every decision is analyzed with precision, every possibility studied as part of a vast puzzle that must be assembled without haste, but also without room for mistakes. The win-now philosophy still dominates, but it does not allow blindness. Management knows that continuing to rely only on the past could compromise the future, and so it carefully plans a transition that preserves the winning identity built over the years. It is at this point that bold ideas begin to emerge. One of them has gained traction after discussions among analysts and fans: the possibility of bringing to San Francisco one of the most explosive talents in the NBA. A player capable of igniting any game, shifting the tempo of a match with a single burst, and injecting pure energy into the court. Morant, from the Memphis Grizzlies, is not just a famous name. He represents the future of modern basketball. A young, fast, unpredictable athlete, and at the same time one surrounded by controversies that challenge any organization to balance risk and reward. The rumor began as an internet joke, but it quickly turned into a serious debate. Specialists started discussing how Morant would fit into the Warriors system, how he could learn from the veterans, how his aggressive instincts could be channeled into a tactical structure that is solid and experienced. The idea stopped being fantasy and became plausible, especially after his recent statements in Memphis revealed discomfort and frustration. In interviews, his demeanor fluctuated between apathy and tension. His gaze seemed distant, like someone who no longer found the same motivation in that environment. Even in productive games, his body language revealed emotional fatigue. And it is precisely this type of situation that franchises like Golden State see as an opportunity. Their history shows they know how to deal with strong personalities. They know how to turn raw talent into real and consistent impact. Morant, under the guidance of experienced leaders and within a system that values creativity and responsible freedom, could be reborn. And at the same time, he could revitalize the team with an electricity that has not appeared with such intensity in years. But beyond emotion, there is the financial game. The NBA salary cap is an unforgiving machine that demands meticulous planning for any major move. To bring in someone of Morant's caliber, the team would need to part with promising young players, draft picks, and perhaps even important rotation pieces. It is a high price, but one that may be justified when thinking about continuity, not just immediate impact. Morant could represent a perfect bridge between the current leadership and the generation yet to come, and it is not just him. In another wing of the front office, a different but equally powerful idea has begun to gain momentum: the possibility of bringing in Bam Adebayo to command the paint, a player with rare versatility, able to defend multiple positions, create plays, protect the rim, and fulfill functions the current roster cannot meet. For many, Adebayo is exactly the type of piece that could redefine the Warriors' entire tactical structure. His defensive intensity combined with offensive awareness would make him a pillar supporting both the present and the future. Adebayo's presence would solve an old problem: the absence of a dominant center capable of balancing interior defense with active participation in offensive creation. And for a team that has always relied on movement, quick cuts, and constant passing, this is almost a tactical dream. However, just like in Morant's case, the price would be high. Miami would not give him up easily, and Kuminga's name appears as the most valuable piece Golden State could offer. Young, athletic, explosive, and still evolving, he represents both promise and uncertainty. Trading him would be an act of strategic courage. The internal debate is intense. Some argue that giving up a young talent now would be an irreversible mistake. Others believe Adebayo is the perfect opportunity to create a new competitive core alongside the veteran stars. The truth is that both views carry logic. The dilemma lies precisely in choosing which risk seems smaller: betting on a promise that has not yet reached its peak, or investing in a proven player ready to elevate the team immediately. Even so, management sees something in common between these two possibilities. Both Morant and Adebayo represent a chance to build a smooth transition between eras. They represent continuity. They represent the opportunity to keep alive the philosophy that made the team a global reference. That has always been more important than any trophy. Golden State wants to win, of course, but it wants to win without losing its identity, without abandoning the essence that placed it in basketball history. As these discussions intensify, the players continue on the court, competing, fighting, defending the legacy with every possession. But the truth is that even when the focus is entirely on the present, the shadows of the future walk alongside them. Every loss weighs more. Every win brings new reflection, as if everyone already sensed that the cycle is close to transforming into something new. This question has become almost a silent mantra within the organization. Executives, the coaching staff, players, and even members of the support team carry this doubt quietly, each with their own interpretation, yet all aware that the answer will shape the franchise's next chapters. Golden State knows it is walking a fine line, where a misstep could compromise years of construction, but also understands that standing still may be even more dangerous. The league evolves, rivals strengthen, and the margin for error shrinks with every season. It is within this scenario that the internal debate begins to take on complex contours. Some believe the solution lies in boldness, in moves that sharply change the franchise's direction and open new possibilities. Others prefer a more conservative approach, building gradually, maintaining the current core, and betting on structural adjustments to remain highly competitive. This division does not represent conflict, but rather a healthy reflection that demonstrates the organization's maturity. Each argument carries weight, each viewpoint is considered, because the moment demands strategic clarity. The name Bam Adebayo emerges as a point of convergence. For many, he is the type of player who not only fills gaps, but defines identities. A modern center with above-average game reading, the ability to withstand the best defenders in the NBA, and the versatility to fit into different lineups. Adebayo represents efficiency, discipline, and immediate impact. His presence in the paint would transform the Warriors' defense, which has long suffered from a lack of interior intensity, especially against teams that exploit physical attacks and constant drives. The offensive fit is also evident. In a system that values movement, cuts, and quick passing sequences, a center with the ability to handle the ball, deliver assists, and finish near the rim is almost a tactical dream. With Adebayo, Golden State could reinvent its game without losing its essence. The ball would once again flow with ease, allowing veterans to conserve energy and play with more freedom. The defense would gain strength. the paint would gain presence, and the team would finally have a reliable defensive anchor for the coming years. But none of this is simple. The trade requires sacrifices. Sacrifices that include putting Jonathan Kuminga on the table. The young talent represents hope, physical explosion, and developmental potential. He is viewed as the main transition piece into the new era, a player who could become a protagonist in a post-veteran scenario. Letting him go is not only losing a promising athlete, but also a part of a project that has been carefully cultivated. This tension fuels the internal discussions. At the same time, there is the view that Kuminga, despite being talented, has not yet reached the consistency needed to lead the team in the future. His learning curve is long, and no one can guarantee he will become the star many expect. Adebayo, on the other hand, is a certainty, an established player with a proven track record of impact and the ability to elevate his level in decisive moments. Golden State has lived situations in which prioritizing the future over the present proved costly, and with the veteran elite still performing at a high level, the opportunity to add a ready-made piece to compete for a title cannot be dismissed. Meanwhile, the name Morant continues to hover through the franchise's corridors. His talent is as evident as his emotional instability. He is the type of offensive weapon that changes the rhythm of the game, turning a stagnant attack into a storm of speed and aggression. However, he is also a player who requires a solid environment, strong leadership, and a structure capable of directing his energy to the right place. The Warriors have all of that. A consolidated foundation, experienced mentors, and a system that values discipline and focus. But the question dividing opinions is simple. Is it worth the risk? Morant could be the future, the face of a new generation, but he could also bring challenges that are difficult to manage. Golden State has always valued culture and stability. Talent alone is not enough. The mentality must align with what the team represents. Still, some see in him a unique chance to refresh the offense, recover speed, and create an attacking duo capable of redefining Western Conference basketball for years to come. While these discussions unfold, the coaching staff continues trying to extract the best from the current roster. Every practice is observed with clinical attention. Every tactical adjustment is tested with the goal of keeping the team competitive while the front office analyses the future. The veterans still shine. They still inspire. They still lead. But everyone knows the load is heavy. The need to share responsibilities is urgent. For this reason, planning goes beyond blockbuster trades. Internal development is a fundamental piece of the strategy. The development staff works obsessively to shape the young players, correct their flaws, refine their tactical understanding, and strengthen their characteristics. Video sessions have become intense, not only reviewing mistakes, but anticipating scenarios, preparing each player to be ready when opportunity appears. It is silent work, but vital for the future. The big issue is that time does not wait. The trade windows are approaching. Pressure is growing. Other teams are starting to move. Speculation is piling up. And Golden State knows that any decision taken now could redefine the next decade. That is why the front office weighs every possibility with almost surgical precision. They do not want to merely react to the market. They want to shape it, set its rhythm, anticipate trends. And it is within this atmosphere of expectation that the franchise walks into one of the most important periods of its recent history. An era in which talent alone is not enough. Vision is required. Courage is required. Accepting that changes are inevitable, but that they can be built in a way that honors the past and prepares the ground for the future. The Golden State Warriors are undergoing a transformation, not an abrupt, aggressive, or desperate one, but a calculated, conscious, and deeply strategic transition. A transition seeking to ensure that the brilliance that lit the last decade is not extinguished, but renewed in new colors, new pieces, and new stories. The transition Golden State is experiencing does not take place only in closed-door meetings or behind-the-scenes discussions. It also appears in the small gestures of daily life, in the glances exchanged during practice sessions, in those moments when silence weighs heavier than any motivational speech. These are discrete signs, but they reveal a collective understanding. The current cycle is approaching its limit, and the groundwork for the next chapter must be prepared before it is too late. Inside the arena, games remain intense. The fans continue believing, celebrating, supporting every shot, every pass, every defensive stand. But a sense of urgency hangs in the air. Every mistake feels more serious. Every win feels more meaningful. It is as if each game carries an emotional weight that goes beyond the standing. Supporters know they are witnessing the final years of a legendary core, and that makes every moment even more valuable. At the same time, it also creates pressure for renewal, an expectation that management will not wait for collapse before taking action. It is precisely this awareness that guides internal decisions. The pursuit of Adebayo is not simply an attempt to fix defensive shortcomings, but a move to establish a new pillar around which the team can rely in the coming years. His style blends strength, intelligence, and commitment, essential qualities for anyone expected to lead a roster built on discipline and total dedication. The possibility of seeing him wear Golden State's colors sparks excitement among coaches and analysts, who see in him a piece capable of raising the team's competitive ceiling. On the other hand, the emotional impact of such a trade is very real. Letting go of Jonathan Kuminga would not be a cold decision. He is viewed as one of the great young promises on the roster, someone who could assume a leading role in the future. The bond created with the locker room, the affection from the fans, and the trust the coaching staff has placed in his development make this possibility even more delicate. For many, Kuminga represents the next generation, and losing him would mean sacrificing part of the future in the name of the present. But this is exactly where management is forced to make complex decisions. They understand that the NBA does not forgive hesitation. Generations pass quickly, cycles end quietly, and when a championship window begins to close, action is required before it shuts completely. Perhaps, to maintain the standard of excellence, the trade for Adebayo is the safest path, an investment in the present that also builds a solid future. In parallel, the Morant possibility continues to be observed with caution. He represents a different type of gamble, one built on explosiveness, speed, audacity, and immediate offensive impact. His ability to change the pace of a game is unquestionable. His driving ability, body control, and sense of improvisation make him one of the most electrifying players in the league. But his emotional instability and turbulent history make this scenario a true balance between risk and reward. Even so, there is a strong argument in favor of acquiring him. Morant would not only bring youth to the core, but he could become a natural successor to the creative role Golden State values so highly. Under experienced leadership, supported by a strong technical and emotional structure, he could find the balance that is still missing in his career. The Warriors' system could channel his raw talent and transform it into consistent impact, something Memphis was never able to stabilize. Still, management avoids rushing. They know that betting on Morant requires more than a game plan. It requires an environment prepared to handle challenges that go beyond the court. It requires security, maturity, and a solid cultural foundation, elements the franchise possesses but cannot use carelessly. That is why Golden State watches, waits, analyses every detail. It is a real possibility, but one that will only be explored once certainty outweighs risk. While these scenarios unfold behind the scenes, the locker room lives a parallel reality. The veterans continue working with intensity. Their commitment to the team and to the culture they helped build remains intact. And as they fight to keep the team competitive, they also dedicate themselves to guiding the younger players. This exchange of experience has become an essential part of the routine. Every conversation on the bench, every adjustment during practice, every firm reprimand, and every personal word of encouragement reveal the collective effort to keep the dynasty's flame alive. The player development staff follows this process closely. They know that regardless of market moves, internal talent must evolve. Young players are, in many cases, the silent foundation that supports the future. Teaching positioning, game reading, defensive mentality, and emotional control is their daily mission. And gradually, this work is starting to pay off. But more time is needed. Time that Golden State may not have in abundance. This is why the moment demands balance, a word that has always been part of the franchise's DNA. Balancing ambition with caution, balancing renewal with respect for the legacy, balancing bold decisions with emotional stability, balancing present and future. None of this is simple, but this is the reality of great teams. Success comes at a cost, and maintaining it costs even more. In the internal corridors, there is a phrase often repeated among executives. Dynasties do not disappear overnight. They slip through your fingers when no one notices. This thought drives every evaluation, every projection, and every deep impact analysis. The goal is not just to find the next great player, but to ensure Golden State remains a benchmark of excellence. And this is the most important point of the entire story. What is at stake is not merely the arrival of Adebayo or the potential gamble on Morant. What is at stake is the continuity of a model that revolutionized the NBA, a culture built on effort, discipline, and vision, a legacy that has influenced generations and continues to do so. In the end, it all comes down to a choice that goes far beyond statistics, names, trades, or projections. The Golden State Warriors stand at a moment that will define their destiny for the coming years, a point where past, present, and future meet, bringing with them doubt, hope, pressure, and ambition. Management studies every possibility carefully. The locker room gives everything it has, and the fans follow each chapter with their hearts in their hands, aware that they are witnessing a historic transition. Regardless of the path the team chooses, whether betting on Adebayo to strengthen the interior, pursuing Morant to reignite the offense with explosive firepower, or relying on internal development to build a new generation grounded in solid values, what matters is that the essence of the Warriors remains alive. The competitive spirit, offensive creativity, tactical discipline, and winning mindset continue to be the foundation behind every decision. And it is precisely this foundation that keeps the franchise ready to evolve, adapt, and continue writing remarkable chapters in the NBA. The story does not end here. On the contrary, it is only changing shape, preparing the ground for a new era that may be even more surprising than everything that has come before. The dynasty's flame has not been extinguished. It is transforming, seeking new ways to shine. And the coming months will reveal whether this light will continue illuminating the league with the same strength as before, or whether a renewed and daring cycle will begin to emerge before our eyes. If you want to follow every step of this journey, every rumor, every decision, and every move that could define the future of the Golden State Warriors, don't forget. Leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and activate notifications. This helps us deliver increasingly complete content for you and ensures you won't miss any chapter of this historic transition. The next big moment may be much closer than it seems. Stay with us.